Hi, I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 470. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. You can see me and you can hear me. If you're on YouTube, you see me. If you're on any of the podcast platforms, you are listening to me. But welcome. And I cannot believe that I'm saying that this is my 470th episode. I've been doing this for, I'm not even sure how many years anymore. And it's just as much fun to do now as it was maybe 8 years ago. I've been in different countries doing this. I've traveled around the whole world doing this. And now I'm here in the Midwest, in my home, doing it. I've been a lot of different places. So welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause. And, I gotta say that it's been a very interesting day today. Our weather has been in the Midwest, kind of rainy and stormy and a little tornado-y, but I got a really good walk in today in the rain. And for those of you who have been listening to this podcast for a while, know that I like to walk in the rain and that I've done a lot of work on my head to manage my thoughts around walking in the rain, because I used to believe nobody did that. When it's raining, you do not go out. And that was just a thought. That's all it was. And once I decided it's fun and actually cool and actually a totally different experience, I look forward to it. Rain doesn't bother me anymore. I like walking in it. So I don't know what kind of thoughts you have when it comes to cold weather or rainy weather or snowy weather. But it's really good to be able to look at your thoughts and know if they're serving you or not, which is really what my Thinner Peace process is all about. It's about how to manage your mind to create peace around food, your body, yourself, your life, whatever, creating it and managing it. And today I want to talk about some very interesting terms that I've listened to lately and how it relates to you and how it relates to you losing weight and how it relates to you having thinner peace in menopause. Because if you don't already know, it wasn't until I was in menopause that I figured it all out, that I stopped going to Weight Watchers, I stopped counting points, and I actually started losing weight and learning how to be connected to my body, how to eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full, which is the major premise of my Thinner Peace process, is how to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. But it's also about having peace. And I think there's a few elements that goes into this concept of having peace in menopause or having peace in your life in menopause. And I do think menopause specifically because I think it brings up a lot of things, because it creates a lot of emotions. There's a lot of imbalance going on in the body, and your body requires you to pay attention. And I can't think of a better time to pay attention to your body than in menopause. And I do believe that me paying attention to my body in menopause has led me to being in my 70s and feeling at peace with food. It really is a pleasure, because there are other things that come up in your 70s that did not come up at least didn't come up in my 50s. And now I'm starting to create a whole new process all around 70 pause. So instead of menopause, I want to start talking about 70 pause, because let me tell you what, the 50s are really interesting and the 70s are even more interesting. And I don't think there's as much talk about it. Just like when I started menopause, Thinner Peace in menopause wasn't talked about that much either 15 years ago, as much as it is now. And it's still not talked about that much. But 70 pause. I think you have to pause when you're 72. Take a big old pause and have a look at your life and have a good way of managing your mind, because there are a lot of things out in our society around getting older at 70, even more so than at 50. Who knew? So I made peace at 50, and now I'm working on making peace at 70. And I want to teach you how to do it if you're in your 70s. So stay tuned for that, because that's not what I'm really talking about today. But I'm preparing you for some of my new work, which is 70 OPAs. Thinner peace at 70 OPAs. I love it. That's going to be exciting. And for today, there are 3 concepts that I want to talk to you about when it comes to you wanting to lose weight. Because here's the thing. I really do believe that weight has not been an issue for so many years because of some of these things that I've done and that I've taught. And one of the things is what I call self-advocacy. So if you want to lose weight and lose it for the last time and make it permanent, I think you have to learn how to advocate for yourself, or what we call self-advocacy, or what I call sticking up for yourself with yourself. Because I don't think there's anybody that's going to be tougher on you than you. And if you don't know how to deal with you, you're going to walk around feeling bad all the time, because this inner critic is not very nice. At least mine isn't. And of the hundreds of women that I've worked with, I don't think theirs is either. And I'm just finishing up a group right now where I really started introducing these concepts and really helping women realize how much we advocate for other people more than we advocate for ourselves. And how does that show up for you? And I really think that you have to really think about what you say to yourself. And like one of my students said today, is that she thought that she was really pretty good to herself, but she realized that that inner critic was kind of tricky and quiet. So not as easy to see. And I think that's really true, is that you only know how the inner critic is working by how you feel. And if you're walking around and you're not feeling very good in your own body or feeling good inside your own skin, it's usually because somebody's saying something to you in your head that does not feel good. And that somebody is you. And you need to know how to handle you and how to stick up for yourself. So one of the things is you can start with your weight. That's always a good place to be a self-advocate about, to advocate for the weight that you're at. Because I understand that if you're listening to this, maybe you want to lose weight, you're in menopause and you want to lose weight. But you can't say, well, I'm going to be nice to you when you lose the weight. It's like you have to be nice the whole time while you're losing weight. And what you say to yourself, and, are you, even if you're not doing all the things that you know you want to be doing, can you still be an advocate for yourself without screaming or yelling or being mean to yourself? That's really the question. So it's kind of like you always start with, be nice to you. So if you hear somebody in your head going, you're not doing it right, you should be doing this, you're not doing enough, you could be doing this better, this is not good enough, that is when you can stand up and say, that is not nice, you can't talk to me like that. I am doing enough. I am enough. I have enough. This enoughness thing, really, you need to advocate for yourself. You need to be able to talk to yourself as if you're talking to your best friend. Because I know if it was your best friend or somebody that you really cared about, you'd be standing up and saying, hey, why you can't talk to her like that. But when it's you, it's like, oh, go ahead and talk to her like that. She deserves it. But you don't. You don't deserve it more than anybody doesn't deserve it. So when it comes to how much you weigh, the first thing is, or the second thing is you have to accept the number on the scale. So first you have to advocate for yourself. And one of the things that we learned in my group class today, one of my students said about self-advocating around food. Because a lot of times we say things to ourselves when we're overeating that, oh, this will help you feel better, or this is soothing, or I just don't want to feel this right now. This is helping me numb. And when you think that about food, you are not advocating for yourself. You're basically indulging yourself and you're saying, yeah, you're right, it is soothing. But really, eating when you're not hungry is not soothing because it always ends up in a negative result and you never feel good about it. So, advocating for yourself and standing up for yourself and going, this is not helping. This is not soothing. This is not numbing. This is just making everything worse. That's actually advocating for yourself and standing up for yourself. And in a way, it's kind of like I talked about the power of no, and that loving yourself by saying no to yourself is one of the best ways that you can do that. Saying no. No to when you're not hungry anymore. No to if there's an extra joy eat, but you already had one, and then your brain's kind of telling you, well, what the heck? Why don't we just go ahead? You have to advocate for yourself, and you have to say, no, stop. It's not going to help. It was good, and now we can stop. Self-advocacy. Now, the next concept that I want you to think about is unconditional self-love. So once you're advocating for yourself, can you love yourself unconditionally? Self-love. That term is used a lot. And I think we say it a lot, you got to love yourself. But I really think the actual loving yourself is really hard and not natural. And so I think it starts with knowing that you can have unconditional love for an animal. You can have unconditional love for maybe your children or your grandchildren or your spouses or people in your family or your best friends. Or maybe you can't. But most people have an easier time being unconditional, loving somebody no matter what when it comes to other people. And what I'm talking about here is loving yourself no matter what, which is really what I call self-love, unconditional self-love. It's being able to love yourself no matter what you've done or how much you weigh. And I always put the weight thing in, number one, because I'm talking about the inner peace in menopause, having peace in menopause around your weight. And it starts with loving yourself with whatever that number is. It's really your thoughts around that number and being able to accept that it is what it is. That doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. It just means that you have to accept where you are and love yourself anyway. And for a lot of us, when we do something wrong or when the scale doesn't say what we want, it's almost like we turn our backs on ourselves. It's like, I'll talk to you when you lose that weight. I'll talk to you when you stop eating. I'll talk to you. I'll be nice to you when that is not unconditional love. Unconditional self-love means I love you no matter what. You, me, no matter what. And I would really practice with the number on the scale. That is the best place to work because most of us have a problem with the number on the scale. And in the group courses that I do and the individual coaching that I do, one of the things that I teach on a regular basis is how to make peace with the scale. Like when the number comes up and you don't like it, do you watch what your mind says? Usually your mind says all kinds of things that makes you feel bad. And it almost can make you feel bad for the whole day or the week or whatever or forever. The number says this, that means there's something wrong with me. And you might take that, you might have been thinking this for so many years, you don't even know you're thinking it. That you realize that I can love myself no matter what the number on the scale says, but it's a practice. And the easiest way to lose weight, the easiest way, is when you accept where you're at and still love yourself anyway. And I feel like I'm talking like, it's you've got to practice it. I know it sounds good, but it's really has to be a practice. And you practice by getting on the scale and playing with, seeing what your thoughts have to say with that number on the scale and what your feelings are. And I always encourage you to come up more with curiosity than furiosity or frustration. And when you notice that there's frustration or you're angry or you're upset about the number on the scale, you know you have work to do. Because the unconditional love means I love you no matter what. I love it. I love I love you even with that number on the scale. I love you even though you didn't get the job. I love you even though you did that wrong. I love you even though you didn't say it the way you meant. And that self-love leads to self-compassion, which is really a big thing in my program, is how to have compassion for yourself. Not as much for other people. You're good at that. But really being able to have self-compassion for yourself comes from being unconditionally loving to yourself, supportive to yourself, no matter what. And the last concept is self-acceptance, which I have been talking about with self-advocacy and unconditional self-love, is that when you can accept where you're at, when you can be here now, like I was talking in my group with another one of my students, is that, yeah, it's okay now as long as I do this later, or I'm going to go forward from here, is not being here now. It's planning where you want to go instead of being content with where you are. And it's an American thing. It's kind of like it's an American thing to not think you have enough. It's an American thing to think that you're not worthy. It's an American thing to think that all you need is this and then you'll be happy. And what I want you to do is to be able to manage that beautiful mind of yours around these thoughts that whatever it is, I'm okay. I'm okay. You're okay, and I'm okay. Do you remember there was a book written a long time ago called I'm Okay and You're Okay? That has turned into self-acceptance. But I remember that book, and it was so amazing to me to think, I'm okay and you're okay. Because usually you can be okay. It's just I'm not okay. And self-acceptance is about we're all okay. I'm okay and you're okay. And it takes work. And it starts with you're okay. No matter what's going on. It's okay, sweetheart. I love to talk to myself and call myself sweetheart. It's okay, sweetheart. You'll be okay. It's okay, sweetheart. Yeah, you gained 5 pounds, but it's okay. Not even you'll lose it. Not even any of that. It's just, it's okay. I love you anyway. Self-acceptance. I really think these 3 concepts are key to losing weight for good. It's like a lot of us think that I'll have these concepts. I'll advocate for myself. I'll love myself unconditionally. I'll accept everything as long as, and there's these conditions, which immediately takes it out of unconditional love. And when it comes to that number on the scale, if you want that number to keep going down, then you have to accept whatever that number says, and you have to accept yourself no matter what that dress looks like, no matter what fits and what doesn't fit. It's okay, sweetheart. That's really what I want you to get used to saying to yourself for the next week is, it's okay, sweetheart. I love you anyway. Self-love is something that you have to practice only because I just don't think it's taught. I think we're taught to beat ourselves up. I think we're taught to think that we're not okay. I think we're taught that we don't have enough. And we live in a world that has so much to offer that we don't have enough. But if we just had that, we would have enough. It's called advertising. So this is what I want you to think about for this week. I have enough. I am enough. And I do enough. And I love you, sweetheart, just the way you are. And of course, I would never end this podcast without saying to you, no matter where you go or what you do or who you're with, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.